The tithe is one of those doctrines which much of Christianity and the world as a whole hates, and it is easy to see why. When there are televangelists out there like Joel Osteen who have hundreds of millions of dollars, while the people around them are living in poverty, it is extremely easy to sympathize and empathize with those who disagree with the tithe. Then you take someone like Kenneth Copeland, who is a self-professed billionaire, and you start to wonder if Christianity is just a big joke. And that is precisely what Satan wants, for faith in Jesus Christ to look like a joke. The immeasurable amount of greed and selfishness in modern Christian churches is disgusting, just to put it plainly. The pastors don't even need to be millionaires to cause people to fall away. I've spoken to several atheists who told me that they became atheists because of the greed of pastors who have thousands and thousands of dollars, nice cars, nice houses, and nice clothing, while so many other people have nothing or close to nothing. These pastors obviously have never read 1 Timothy 6:9, which says, "But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition." So, the question is this: is the tithe legit? Is it still something that Christians need to do? What is the point of tithing? Where should that money be spent? Who is eligible to receive tithes? Did God command us to tithe? Are there any promises involved with tithing? In this video, we will answer all of these questions. Many of us plead with God to give us more money. In His infinite wisdom, however, He knows that giving us a lot of money will not glorify Him and will be harmful for our faith. He knows that we will mishandle such riches. Ecclesiastes 5:10. "He that loveth silver shall not be satisfied with silver, nor he that loveth abundance with increase. This is also vanity." 1 Timothy 6:10. "For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith, and pierced themselves through with many sorrows." James 4:3. "Ye ask and receive not, because ye ask amiss, that ye may consume it upon your lusts." What does it mean to consume something upon our lusts? Think of it like this. The smoker with lung cancer prays that his lungs would be healed, but he knows in his heart that he would go back to smoking if his lungs were healed, so the Lord doesn't heal them. Or think of the alcoholic who is going into liver failure. He prays for a healed liver, but intends to drink again afterward. Or think of the person who desperately wants to be rich, but has every intention on buying expensive, useless things which do nothing to further the gospel. These are but 3 examples of consuming something upon our lusts. This is not to say that God won't give people riches. There are plenty of Christians out there who have quite a lot of money and are doing their best to further the gospel message. The problems come when someone has a lot of money, but no morals. They need instruction on how that money should be spent. 1 Timothy 6:17. "Charge them that are rich in this world, that they be not high-minded, nor trust in uncertain riches, but in the living God, who giveth us richly all things to enjoy." God actually instructs us to be content with what He has given to us. Philippians 4:11. "Not that I speak in respect of want, for I have learned, in whatsoever state I am, therewith to be content." 1 Timothy 6:8. "And having food and raiment, let us therewith be content." Hebrews 13:5. "Let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as ye have. For He hath said, I will never leave thee, nor forsake thee." But back to the point. What is the history of tithing, and what does the Bible have to say about it? Firstly, we turn to Abraham. Genesis 14:18-20. "And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God. And he blessed him and said, Blessed be Abraham of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth. And blessed be the Most High God, which hath delivered thine enemies into thy hand. And he gave him tithes of all." Hebrews 7:1-2. "For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, who met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings, and blessed him, to whom also Abraham gave a 10th part of all, first being by interpretation king of righteousness, and after that also king of Salem, which is king of peace." Even the patriarch Jacob said that he would faithfully pay his tithes, even if he only had clothes to give. Genesis 28, 20-22. And Jacob vowed a vow, saying, If God will be with me, and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat, and raiment to put on, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then shall the Lord be my God. And this stone which I have set for a pillar shall be God's house. And of all that thou shalt give me, I will surely give the tenth unto thee. As you can see, Abraham paid tithes to Melchizedek. As we know, Jesus Christ is after the order of Melchizedek. Hebrews 6:20. Whither the forerunner is for us entered, even Jesus, made an high priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. Jesus himself tells us that if we truly are of Abraham, then we would do the works of Abraham. Paul also tells us that if we are Christians, if we truly belong to Christ, then we are Abraham's seed. John 8:39. They answered and said unto him, Abraham is our father. Jesus saith unto them, If ye were Abraham's children, ye would do the work of Abraham. Galatians 3:29. And if ye be Christ's, then are ye Abraham's seed, and heirs according to the promise. When Jesus was rebuking the scribes and Pharisees, he actually acknowledges that they are doing the right thing by tithing. But he goes on to rebuke them for the things they were doing which went against God. Matthew 23:23. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith. These ought ye to have done, and not to leave the other undone. So, both Jesus and Paul confirm that if we belong to the household of faith, we are considered Abraham's seed. And if we are Abraham's seed, we will do the works of Abraham. He paid tithes to Melchizedek, and Jesus Christ is of the order of Melchizedek. Therefore, the faithful will pay their tithes in support of those who devote their lives to the advancement of Christ's kingdom. Just like the Levitical priests lived of the things of the temple, those who have dedicated their lives to furthering the kingdom of Jesus Christ upon earth will live of the gospel. 1 Corinthians 9:13. Do ye not know that they which minister about holy things live of the things of the temple? And they which wait at the altar are partakers with the altar? 1 Corinthians 9:14. Even so hath the Lord ordained that they which preach the gospel should live of the gospel. The tithe belongs to those who meet the qualifications to receive them. What qualifies a man as someone who should receive the tithe? His entire life must be lived in the employment of God. He must be full-time in the ministry as his only job. Your tithe must go to the one who you believe is blessed to do the Lord's work. This is a reciprocating relationship. The congregation meets the carnal needs of the preacher, while the preacher meets the spiritual needs of the congregation. It is the duty of the faithful Christian to give to the carnal needs of the preacher, whose duty it is to give to the spiritual needs of the people. 1 Corinthians 9:11. If we have sown unto you spiritual things, is it a great thing if we shall reap your carnal things? Romans 15:27. It hath pleased them verily, and their debtors they are. For if the Gentiles have been made partakers of their spiritual things, their duty is also to minister unto them in carnal things. Please understand, there is very good reason that the Gentiles were told to tithe and give to the carnal needs of the preachers. 1 Corinthians 9:14. Even so hath the Lord ordained that they which preach the gospel should live of the gospel. Allow me to explain it this way. Without the people giving their tithes, the preacher would have to get a secular job in order to meet their carnal needs. If he has to get a secular job, then he has less time to study, pray, and devote himself to the work of God. As a direct result of not having his carnal needs met, the people to whom he preaches will suffer because he has not been able to devote himself fully to the work of the Lord. So, those who decide not to tithe are, in reality, harming themselves because their preacher is less able to feed them with the spiritual food they desperately require. Those who decide not to tithe are shooting themselves in the foot or cutting off the branch they're sitting on by refusing to obey the Lord when he commanded the tithe to be given. Many Christians do not realize that every penny we receive is given to us by God himself. He owns everything. All that we have belongs to him, and only he can tell us how to spend the money he has so generously given us. What most fail to realize is, the Lord lays claim to all they own. He blesses us according to what he deems is good for us. Haggai 2:8. The silver is mine, and the gold is mine, saith the Lord of hosts. Psalm 50:10 and 11. For every beast of the forest is mine, and the cattle upon 1,000 hills. I know all the fowls of the mountains, and the wild beasts of the field are mine. The fact of the matter is that we do not own anything, not even our own bodies. 1 Corinthians 6:20. For ye are bought with a price. Therefore glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. We were born naked, owning nothing, and we will die without being able to take anything with us. 1 Timothy 6:7. For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. And Jesus said in Matthew 25:14, For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. Everything we have, and I mean 100% of everything we have, is God's property, and he only lends us his goods. He gives us these things as a way of testing us to see if we will use his blessings to glorify him, as well as doing good to our neighbors. Please understand, it is only because of God's blessings that we have the ability to gain anything at all. Deuteronomy 8:18. But thou shalt remember the Lord thy God, for it is he that giveth thee power to get wealth. God also entrusts men with means. He gives them power to get wealth, and he asks for a return of his own. Our money has not been given us that we might honor and glorify ourselves. As faithful stewards, we are to use it for the honor and glory of God. The tithe belongs to God. He has already claimed it as his own. From the beginning, the Lord claimed the tithe as his, and this claim was recognized and honored by all his faithful people, just like how Abraham paid the 10th of his increase to Melchizedek. Proverbs 3:9. Honor the Lord with thy substance, and with the first fruits of all thine increase. How do we honor him in this way? What is it he's telling us to do here? Leviticus 27:30. And all the tithe of the land, whether of the seed of the land or of the fruit of the tree, is the Lord's. It is holy unto the Lord. Since the Lord has already claimed that the tithe belongs to him, that means only 90% of our paychecks are actually ours. He gave the extra 10% as a test to see if we would be faithful to his commands or not. If we refuse to give him what he rightfully owns, which commandment do you think we're breaking? That's right, commandment number 8. Exodus 20:15 says, Thou shalt not steal. In fact, God confirms that to keep back the tithe is robbery in his eyes. Malachi 3:8 says, Will a man rob God? Yet ye have robbed me. But ye say, Wherein have we robbed thee? In tithes and offerings. It is robbery to not pay the tithe because it never belonged to us in the first place. It was always there for his purposes. Imagine for a moment that you allowed someone to borrow your lawnmower or your car. Your expectation would be that the person returns your property to you, correct? Now, what if that person said to you, No, this is mine. I am not returning it to you because I own it. It's the same idea with the tithe. It always belonged to God and was never ours to do with what we desire. It always had a specific use which he expects us to abide by. The Lord goes further regarding what happens when we do not obey his command to tithe. Ecclesiastes 5:13 says, There is a sore evil which I have seen under the sun, namely, riches kept for the owners thereof to their hurt. It is to the hurt of those who do not tithe when they refuse to obey. But how? They cripple the preacher's work because the preacher then must find some way to pay for his carnal needs. Because of that, the person who does not pay tithe ends up hurting their own spiritual life. Luke 6:38. Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down and shaken together and running over, shall men give into your bosom. For with the same measure that ye mete withal, it shall be measured to you again. When we give the Lord his tithe, he keeps his promises. Malachi 3:10. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in my house. And prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven, and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. What many fail to realize is that the tithe is the only area where the Lord specifically says to test him. In Malachi 3:10, where he says, prove me now herewith, He's actually saying, test me, and see if I won't give you blessings upon blessings once you pay your tithe. Malachi 3:11, and I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes, and he shall not destroy the fruits of your ground. Neither shall your vine cast her fruit before the time in the field, saith the Lord of hosts. He blesses us with more stability in life by keeping back the devourer, Satan, from destroying the things we have. Yes, things will still break, but this is also a test to see if we will still be faithful in tithes. 2 Corinthians 9:6, but this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly, and he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully. It is all based on how we give. Tithing is a set in stone 10%, but there are also love offerings which are based on your heart. If we are generous in our love offerings, the Lord is generous in the blessings. If we are stingy, then our blessing will be small as well. Because he clearly said in that passage that he bases our blessings on how we bless others. Love offerings can be used for many things and not just for the ministers. There are many things love offerings can be used for, and just by way of example, it can be used for the poor. 1 John 3:17, but whoso hath this world's good, and seeth his brother have need, and shutteth up his bowels of compassion from him, how dwelleth the love of God in him? Love offerings are not in replacement of, but are in addition to, regular tithes. The tithe is to be especially devoted to the support of those who are declaring God's message to the world, and it should not be diverted from this purpose. I hope and pray that you were blessed by what you just learned. God bless.